Thanks, Nina Enrique. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. China's new tariffs on certain U.S. goods officially kicked off today, and this move comes as a response to Washington's recent decision to raise tariffs by 10% on all Chinese imports, escalating trade tensions between the two countries.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising that the American government is going to allow its companies to suffer without even a phone call to the president of China. The thing is, we are in the beginning of the Trump administration. Right now, he's riding high. So right now, because one thing that people don't understand is that a lot of American companies are certainly lobbying the American government to stop the retaliation, right? Let's negotiate this. But right now, Trump is not listening to anybody.
And the news starts now. China's new tariffs on select U.S. goods took effect today, retaliating against Washington's 10% tariff hike on all Chinese imports. Now, Beijing's Customs Tariff Commission announced the move earlier this month, slapping an extra 15% tariff on U.S. coal and liquefied natural gas, crude oil, agricultural machinery, large displacement vehicles, and pickup trucks now carry an additional 10% tariff. Despite the escalating trade tensions, traders in Yiwu, China's major export manufacturing hub, appeared unfazed. And many say they've already taken steps to cushion the impact of Trump's tariffs and other measures against China.
Adding a 50% tariff won't impact us much.
Chinese toy trader Zheng Hao says new tariffs from US President Donald Trump don't bother him.
First of all, our product is a high profit product. For example, if I sell it here for 5 yuan, the wholesalers may give consumers a price of 15 or 20 yuan. Because this is the standard pricing in the US. Even if a tariff adds 2.5 yuan to a 5 yuan toy, the impact on the end consumer isn't too significant.
Zheng's Jinqi Toys is in a massive market complex in the eastern city of Yiwu. Yiwu is the world's largest hub for selling small products wholesale. Zheng says the US accounts for about 80% of his exports. Still, he's not fazed by Trump's tariffs and other moves against China.
The United States unpredictability, well, we're okay with it. It's whatever. We have no choice.
Trump promised 60% tariffs on Chinese goods during his campaign, but he revised that down to 10% after taking office. He also plans to cancel duty-free treatment of low-cost packages from China under the so-called de minimis rule. That loophole lets parcels worth less than $800 enter the US tax-free.
Whatever they say, we just follow. If they cancel small parcel shipments, then our customers will switch to shipping by containers, right?
Cheng Haodong is chairman of Besa Group, which sells a range of items from clothes to toiletries. He told Reuters that they had already made preparations to soften the blow.
Before Trump took office, we predicted he would be elected. So what should we do after Trump comes to power? We gathered information from various reports as well as on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Based on that, we made strategic adjustments for the company in advance. It's not about reacting immediately when a policy is announced. By then, it would be too late to adapt.
Trump's moves have reignited fears of a full-blown trade war escalating between the world's two largest economies. China is preparing its own counter-tariffs of up to 15% on some US goods. Abby Jin buys products in Yiwu on behalf of her international customers in markets including the United States. She told Reuters that vendors in the city were not short of orders.
We can respond by slightly reducing our profit margins or adjusting costs. In the end, the additional costs will be passed on to the end consumers in their country, meaning they will ultimately bear the consequences of their own economic policies. For the US, whether they can find a suitable country to replace us as a trade partner is a question they need to consider themselves.
Why isn't U.S. President Donald Trump in a hurry to negotiate with Chinese President Xi Jinping? Now, that's the question a finance analyst is asking after Trump showed no urgency to talk, even as China's retaliatory tariffs took effect today. Last week, Trump said he wasn't rushing to speak with Xi, despite expectations that a direct conversation similar to his talks with Mexican and Canadian leaders could help ease or delay the tariff battle.
Any update on when you would speak to President Xi?
No, we'll speak to him at the appropriate time. I'm in no rush. At the appropriate
Do you think that conversation can lend itself to the type of freeze that it meant for the tariffs for Canada and
Well,
Mexico?
we'll see what happens.
White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt confirmed that Xi had reached out, but a call between the two leaders has yet to be scheduled.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising that the American government is going to allow its companies to suffer without even a phone call to the president of China. The thing is, we are in the beginning of the Trump administration. Right now, he's riding high. So right now, because one thing that people don't understand is that a lot of American companies are certainly lobbying the American government to stop the retaliation, right? Try, let's negotiate this. But right now, Trump is not listening to anybody. He believes that because he was not strong enough on the first term, that he must show a much stronger hand this time. And that is what is going on. And the problem is that this makes things unpredictable. The situation that we are now is that the trade today is not symbolic, but it's also not strategic. Is a tour de force that can be clawed back, like it happened in the case of Mexico and Canada, but it's neither.
Meanwhile, President Trump has warned of even higher tariffs unless Beijing takes stronger action against fentanyl shipments to the U.S. China, on the other hand, insists it has already made major efforts to crack down on illicit drug trade and is challenging Trump's tariffs at the World Trade Organization, where it filed a complaint last week.
I just think that is a survival negotiating tactic, strategy that China will have to pursue because there's no other way.
So will tensions ease, or are more tariffs on the horizon? Will Japan's Nippon Steel be allowed to invest in U.S. steel? Now, President Trump has finally weighed in on this issue. Trump, who previously vowed to block the takeover, now says the U.S. government will allow the investment, but only if it's not a majority stake. So how will that affect the deal?
Nippon Steel has considered proposing a bold change in its approach to buy US steel. That's according to Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi Monday. He told reporters the proposal was completely different from anything Nippon has done in the past. Hayashi said it would create a win-win situation for both Japan and the US. He cited investments and the production of high-quality products demanded by the US and global markets. On Friday, US President Donald Trump said Nippon Steel's $14.9 billion bid would take the form of an investment instead of a purchase. He commented further Sunday.
I'm not going to let another country buy it. We had a great meeting on that, but they are allowed to invest in it, and that's different.
It was unclear if the investment referred to a new deal structure or what the details of the transaction would be. Two sources said the biggest Japanese steelmaker had not withdrawn its bid. Nippon Steel declined to comment on Hayashi's update. It also said nothing on Trump's statement that no one can have a majority stake in US steel. Trump also said the US will impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports on top of existing duties. Shares in Nippon Steel fell 1.5% Monday.
The Trump administration's immigration crackdown has ignited protests across the U.S. This as thousands of undocumented migrants have been sent back to their countries. 11,000 are now in Mexico, 2,500 of whom, however, are non-Mexicans. Anna Cui reports.
On Friday, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced that her country has received nearly 11,000 deported migrants from the United States. This since President Donald Trump took office. Sheinbaum says 2,539 of those reported are non-Mexicans.
We have always said that whenever anyone is deported from the United States, if they want to, We make an interview to verify if there were any human rights violations so we can file all the corresponding complaints. 10,964 people from January 20th, 8,425 Mexicans, and 2,539 from other nationalities have been deported to Mexico.
Sheinbaum adds that Mexico has also repatriated deported migrants to Honduras via flights as well as ground transportation. The Mexican president stressed that the repatriations were not forced.
Flights have departed from Mexico to Honduras. Yesterday, a flight departed. Foreign migrants also take ground transportation. Remember, it's voluntary. It's always voluntary. We will accompany back to their home countries if they desire so.
Last week, Sheinbaum and Trump reached a deal pausing threatened tariffs on Mexican goods. In exchange, Mexico deploys thousands of National Guard police to its northern border with the U.S. This in an effort to reduce the U.S.-bound migrant flow. Anna Cui for NET25 World News.
U.S. President Donald Trump had a lot to say on Super Bowl weekend while traveling from his residence in Florida to the game in New Orleans on board Air Force One. Trump announced his intention to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. He also signed a proclamation changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And he said he expects Elon Musk to find billions of dollars of waste when Musk investigates Pentagon spending. Thomas I. Likeness for more.
Trump spent a good part of the flight from Florida to New Orleans speaking with reporters. In a staged event aboard Air Force One, the president signed a declaration changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
And we're flying right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
The name change is pretty meaningless. Outside of the United States, the Gulf will still be known as the Gulf of Mexico. In a post on X, Google says it will change the name of the Gulf, but only for American users. Still with geography, Trump reiterated he still wants the U.S. to own Gaza, despite opposition to the idea from most of the rest of the world.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody.
And as far as where the current residents of Gaza would go, Trump pretty much rules out accepting Palestinian refugees into the United States.
Coming into the United States, it's a long way for them to travel. They're far away from their families and their friends and everything else. I think they'd be very happy staying in the general area in a place that was safe, where they could be safe and lead a good life.
He continues to say he hopes neighboring Arab countries will accept displaced Palestinians, but those countries have already ruled that out. When pressed about the Russia-Ukraine war, Trump says talks are continuing, but he had little else to say.
Well, I don't want to talk about it, and if we are talking, I don't want to tell you about the conversation. It's too early, but I do believe we're making progress. We want to stop the Ukraine-Russia war, and I want to stop it just because I hate to see all these young people being killed. The soldiers are being killed by the hundreds of thousands.
On the issue of trade, Trump signaled his intention to impose tariffs on imports of steel and aluminum. He says he'll announce those details Tuesday or Wednesday.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
Those tariffs will increase the cost of finished goods for American consumers. In an interview aired Sunday morning, Trump talked about wasteful spending. He says he'll be sicking his financial pit bull, Elon Musk, on his next targets.
I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, you know, the people elected me on that.
Despite the fire hose of promises, proposals, and ideas, Trump provides few details. Just like in his first term, Americans are told details will be coming soon. But soon never seems to come. Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
More than 60 people rescued from scam centers in Myanmar have arrived in Thailand, with over half of them identified as Chinese nationals. The group also includes 13 Indians, 5 Indonesians, and 1 Malaysian. Take a look. Thailand welcomed the returnees as the country continues its crackdown on cross-border scam operations. The rescue efforts follow Thailand's decision to cut electricity, internet, and energy supplies to 5 border areas in Myanmar, which have become hubs for the billion-dollar scam industry.
Today, we have cut the power to Myanmar. They may face challenges of lower power supply, but we are at the point now where no one can blame Thailand for being part of or playing a part in supporting illegal acts. They may turn to other sources of power supply or generate their own electricity. In the Thai Security Council orders, it also includes the halt in supplying oil and internet to them, which means that from now on, any damage that occurs will have no connection to any resources in Thailand.
International pressure to dismantle these centers intensified after a Chinese actor was abducted in Thailand last month, taken across the border, and forced to work in a scam center. The incident raised security concerns and delivered a blow to Thailand's tourism industry. Reports say around 10,000 Chinese tourists canceled their trips to Thailand during the Lunar New Year holidays. During a visit to China, Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra sought to reassure the Chinese government that tourist safety is a top priority. In a meeting with President Xi Jinping, she reaffirmed Thailand's commitment to cracking down on these scam networks, efforts that President Xi acknowledged and welcomed. In response to President Donald Trump's suggestion that Ukraine supplies the U.S. with rare earths and other minerals in exchange for financially supporting its war effort, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says, "Let's do a deal." Percival Parlare Jr. reports.
President Donald Trump is pressing for a rapid end to the Russia-Ukraine war. Last week, he said he wanted Ukraine to supply the United States with rare earths and other minerals in return for financially supporting its war effort.
So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
In response, Ukrainian president says he is willing to talk about a deal.
These deposits are priceless. IT is a huge amount of money, huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we are talking about a deal, that's what the Americans want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal.
Last fall, Ukraine floated the idea of opening its critical minerals to investment by allies. It presented what it calls a victory plan that seeks to put Kyiv in the strongest position for talks and convince Moscow to the table.
This is what I told President Trump when we were together. I told him this is the victory plan. Why victory? Victory for all. We will protect those trillions. We will prevent Russia from mining the minerals which will later be used to produce technologies for the 3 countries of the axis of evil.
Trump wants rare earths because the American economy is highly dependent on Chinese sources and it's an economic and national security risk. So reason number one. Reason number two is that there are now so many American companies who are able to mine and produce rare earths within the US. Reason number two. And reason number three is that, I mean, there is Ukraine and we have these commodities right there. And in order to avoid that the Chinese will take over Ukrainian rare earths commodities and build up potential mines there, it's an option for the Americans. And reason number four is to make the Ukrainians pay for the American military support. So that you see a couple of reasons why Trump wants them, but again, we have to wait. What does it really mean on the ground?
Zelensky says less than 20% of Ukraine's mineral resources were under Russian occupation. These include about half its rare earth deposits.
Так, безумовно, вони захопили не 20%.
Of course, they have not seized 20% of our mineral resources. It is less. Much less. And this is what I am talking about, urgently, yes. We are speaking at the top of our voice that we need help to stop Putin and protect all we have, a very rich Dnipro region, which central Ukraine.
Rare earths are important in the manufacture of high-performance magnets, electric motors, and consumer electronics.
Rare earth elements are not actually rare. They've held on to that name since the late 1700s. Now, because the term rare earth elements refers to 17 chemically similar elements that are one right next to the other on the periodic table, that means they're actually very difficult to break apart, to separate, so that you can have a higher concentration pure form of praseodymium or neodymium, for example, which are two elements that are used in high-powered magnets that are used in everything from maglev trains to wind turbines to missiles.
Zelensky says Moscow could open those resources to its allies, North Korea and Iran, both sworn U.S. enemies. The Ukrainian president unfurls a map on a table in his office in Kyiv. He shows numerous mineral deposits, including a broad strip of land in the east marked as containing rare earths. But around half of it looked to be on Russia's side of the current front lines.
Because even though the global rare earth supply continues to be relatively stable, with a few exceptions, rare earth elements, because of their strategic significance, do unfortunately tend to feature in broader geopolitical disputes. And so the elements that are under question with respect to Ukraine are currently located in areas that are Russia controlled, right? And so gaining or regaining access to those deposits, not only for the US, for Ukraine and Western allies, is something that has larger geopolitical significance.
Zelensky says Ukraine had Europe's largest reserves of titanium, essential for the aviation and space industry, and uranium used for nuclear energy and weapons. Many of the titanium deposits were marked in northwestern Ukraine, far from the fighting. Ukraine's willingness to enter a deal with the U.S., Zelensky says, does not mean giving away its resources. Zelensky clarifies that it is offering a mutually beneficial partnership to develop them jointly.
You see, all this region, industrial region, that is very important. Which region of Ukraine? And this is billions. The Americans help the most, and therefore the Americans should earn the most. And in rebuilding Ukraine, they should have this priority, and they will. I would also like to talk about this with President Trump.
Zelensky adds that Kyiv and the White House are discussing the idea of using Ukraine's vast underground gas storage sites to store U.S. liquefied natural gas.
У нас найбільше газосховище в Європі.
We have the biggest gas storage in Europe. the biggest. Many European countries store gas, and we are ready to sign LNG contracts and make the storage available to other European Union countries. With pleasure. And I know that American partners are interested too in this market, and we are ready to cooperate with American partners.
February 14 to 16 is the Munich Security Conference, where officials from dozens of Western countries will converge and discuss the nearly 3-year-old Russia-Ukraine war. Zelensky is anticipated to attend the forum, where Trump's special envoy for Russia and Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, is also expected. The Ukrainian president says he needs to meet Trump in person before the U.S. president meets Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, Trump says he expects to talk to Zelensky this week. In Washington, D.C., Percival Parlade for NET25 World News.
Tariffs or no tariffs, businesses and consumers in Canada are uniting in the call to buy Canadian. Now this after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appealed to its residents to put the country's products first. In Toronto, Yolanda Aspiras has this story.
Buy Canadian sounds like the battle cry across Canada as tariffs have been announced to come into effect this week and eventually pulled back and paused for the next 30 days. Earlier in the week, U.S. President Trump announced the 25% tariffs will be imposed on all Canadian goods. In retaliation, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the same 25% tariffs on against American goods coming into Canada, thereby starting an anticipated tariff war between the two neighboring countries.
President Trump wants to usher in a new golden age for the United States. The better path is to partner with Canada, not to punish us.
In response to this, Canadians and businesses across the country are now determined to show solidarity with the country and to buy Canadian and not support US-made or American-owned companies.
I think it's made Canadians across nationally more aware of what is going on and becoming I think more educated about the situation and what role we all have to play as Canadians.
I hope that this sort of brings us together. It's making people at least look at the things they're buying and not being so complacent.
Even with the tariffs paused at the moment, most people are now checking product labels and doing their research, posting Canadian substitutes for basic necessities to support Canadian products instead of buying American goods.
The fundamental truth of this all is we don't want to be here. No one wants to be here. This is completely unavoidable, yet we are here and we are going to respond. We are not, I think, for some people in the US, perhaps Donald Trump, they took our kindness for weakness. And we do love our American cousins. But we will not stand by for this type of action to be taken, and we will respond every single time that they take an action. We will respond in kind.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's speech earlier in the week has inspired a lot of Canadians to action and to support their own and stand in solidarity with Canada. Yolanda Aspiras, Toronto, Ontario for NET25 World News.
If you're in Tokyo and looking for a unique experience, check out Hokusai, Another Story in Tokyo at Tokyo Plaza, Shibuya. Now, this exhibition brings Katsushika Hokusai's iconic Edo period artworks to life using high-definition visuals and haptic technology. Imagine feeling the sensation of walking on sand or ice as you explore scenes from Hokusai's masterpieces.
この第一の部屋ではソニーのハプティクス技術の一つであるアクティブスレートというデバイスを使っています。葛飾北斎の作品に合わせて4つのシーンの世界に没入するような体験ができる部屋になっております。例えば砂浜を歩いているような触覚ですとか、このカニを踏むと カニが逃げてったりとか、そういう疑似的に葛飾北斎の世界観に没入するようなことが体験できるような部屋となっております。
その亡くなる直前まで新しくずっとチャレンジングするような人だったんですね。なので今回の展示見ていただけたら、僕だったらこうするみたいな、もっとなんかそのアイディアが出てくるんじゃないかなと思います。なんかそのインスピレーションがもっと湧いて、さらにこう作りたいっていうか、そういう多分人だったと思うので、喜んでくれると思います。
Loved it so much. It's amazing. Really, it's like I don't know. It was like the moment I first saw Fuji in Shinkansen. It was mesmerizing, and I felt it again here. So it's nice.
Now the exhibition runs until June 1st, and tickets need to be purchased in advance. Don't miss this blend of traditional art and modern technology. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Good night.